Okay. For the good of the order, move right on.
Well, I'd like to say that Morton rolled out the red carpet for us this last weekend, and it's wonderful to go to a community that still has logging and embraces the logging history. And I think they probably broke history records with the attendance at the Brandy Clark, a native of Morton, her concert. So it was a pretty eventful day weekend for Morton.
I spent last week up in the northern country of Everett at the Washington State Transportation Association conference. Got to meet a number of tremendous individuals up there as pertaining to transit and some thought processes as we try to move forward with the possibility of countywide transit. It was a great conference, and we enjoyed it. I can tell you I do not like being in hotel rooms 4 nights out of the week, and was grateful to be able to get back to my own bed on Friday night. But we had a good week, and to Commissioner Fund's point, we had a great time at Morton. That's always a lot of fun to go to that parade, and so we had a lot of fun, saw a lot of people. It was a good weekend, and so we commend the folks in Morton for their great job on that event. It's always like it is the week before the fair. It just kind of gets us set up for Fair Week, and it's a lot of fun to do, and so we had a great time.
Yeah, unfortunately, I couldn't be there. I had to do most of my conversation by phone.
And you were talked about, by the way, at Morton.
Yes.
I know. I had a death in the immediate family, and I just was not able to be there. So one of those things I dearly regret it. And I know they were having fun. That's what I told everyone. I said, make sure you guys have fun, even though I'm not there. Try to have fun without me. So, but I know it was a great event. Brandy was there, and we got lots of feedback there. Even though it rained, it's how many days? Like we had 53 days. And I know that there was a headliner band, and then after that, I think she took the stage about 9:30 or maybe 9:30, and then it started raining, I guess. And I was actually coming over. I think I got home about 2:30 in the morning, and it was raining hard. So hopefully it wasn't raining quite that hard when the performance was going on. But I did hear everyone had a great time. And I meandered through the booths yesterday morning, and so still a lot of people there too. So great fun, and Morton does it the right way, no question about it. They've been doing it for years, so good for them, and I know it'll go on for for many, many more years.
What I appreciate, I went to the breakfast in Morton that the Lions put on, and going through there, I usually see faces I know, but there were some faces I thought they were in the wrong place, so to speak. Well, people from Vader, who are Lions there, came over to help with the breakfast. So I thought that's really a good cooperation, that people were helping each other from one side of Lewis County to the other. And every time I go to one of these events in a community, it's a time for us as commissioners to talk with people, find out what some of the issues are. And there's fun involved, but it certainly is very informative about what's going on in our communities, especially in the East End. And yesterday I attended the George Washington 200 service in the Centralia Park. Last week we passed a proclamation regarding George Washington. And it was wonderful there also to see different churches together, working together to put this event on and to relive the history of George Washington. And in light of what happened this weekend at Charlottesville, and they referenced what was happening there and what was happening in Centralia, and we were really celebrating our diversity of our past and looking forward to our future.
Thank you. Okay, at this time then, press conference, are there any questions or comments this time?
Commissioner Steve Skinner again with Lewis County Solid Waste Manager. I just wanted to make sure that we still knew that the transfer station is going to be closed this Saturday. The site in Morton will be open. We're going to close the Centralia 1-4 scale replacement. So we've trying to do our due diligence to get the word out to everybody through Facebook and all the newspapers and everything. But again, I just wanted to make sure that everybody knew it if you had any other questions.
And I know that you have been working on this for more than a couple months now. So
We have, I think we
Been prepared.
approached the disposal district group, I want to say it was maybe back in April when the contract is awarded. Maybe it was May, but yeah, we've had flyers out to every customer coming through. So I'm sure that we've missed somebody, but we're hoping not, but, do our best anyway.
Well, it'd be a great opportunity for someone to drive up to the East End. to
That's
take
right,
care.
it would. And we're going to take a couple of the staff members that normally work on Saturday down there and send them up there in the anticipation that it might be busier. I mean, especially from the Alaska area, that might come down here and they still want to get rid of theirs, they could go to Morton, yeah. So,
Thank you, sir.
Yes, waiting to see if there's any comments or questions from the press. I just wanted to make a few statements about public disclosure in Lewis County. It seemed like we've been living through a hurricane with public disclosure requests from a few individuals. When I was testifying for the Washington State Association of Counties, getting ready to say, we have hundreds of public disclosure requests from one individual, joined with another individual, I received 12 more requests while I was sitting there waiting to testify. When I testified 2 years ago regarding public disclosure, someone took my testimony from TVW, and they put different segments of that and put a little headline on it. Lewis County Commissioner Edna Fund gives false testimony. Then I heard from several legislators that they received an email with that attachment saying that I had provided false testimony. I have not provided false testimony. I am providing the truth. And I have to tell you, public disclosures, we all want transparent government. We want people to come to our meetings. We want people to look at our records. What we don't want are people slowing down the system when we have public disclosure requests from folks who want to pretty much grind us to a halt. One of the public disclosure requests I had, any and all information, including but not limited to communications, answers to discovery, and public records responses currently on elected Lewis County Commissioner Edna Fund's computer hard drive and shared drive. Last year, we received a request for the prosecuting attorney, all correspondence regarding Steve Mansfield and yourself from 9/11/14 forward. It became to a point that we had to, and they also asked for Health and Human Services, Central Services, Human Resources, and Commissioners. And anything that had Steve Mansfield's logo on it, we had to look through. We asked for folks to say, what exactly are you looking for? A while back, there was a request for anything to do with the fair. So we asked the person, is it like Lewis County, Southwest Washington Fair, or fair hearing, etc.? And from what time to what time, so that we could narrow down exactly what we want. We have one requester, and this data comes from our GovQA, which puts in all the requests and what kind of information they need, etc., that we've given them a number of responses because it's going to take a long time for some of these requests to be filled. And they have not looked at one of them yet, and we can tell by our software. Another sample of a request. Any and all of your agency's current policies and procedures. Think about that. Think about any and all agency's current policies and procedures. So to me, it's gone beyond someone wanting to know about government, wanting to do some research, needing to ask questions about our process. But it's inundating and I feel like Lewis County is a target at this point. We estimate it's going to cost us $500,000 this year regarding responses to public disclosures. We've had to hire a public disclosure attorney in the prosecutor's office and a public disclosure manager. And in each of our departments and offices, they have to have somebody handling public disclosure. We're having to train some of our folks out in the field that can, if somebody approaches one of our public works individual and said, can you give me the history of this road or all the work that's been done on this road in the past? We have to consider that as a public disclosure request. So what I'm saying here, we want to be transparent, we want to be open, but the frequent requesters who are looking to Lewis County as a target, I really don't appreciate. It clogs down our services to our taxpayers. It also takes taxpayers' dollars away from our treasury. And knowing the things that we have, the budget pressures we have in front of us, it is not taken lightly. So once again, I'd like to say public disclosure, we appreciate it, we like it, but we don't like it when people abuse the system. And we're hoping with the new legislation that was passed that some of this can be avoided in the future. We welcome public disclosures. If you want to know about government, want to know about Lewis County, ask us. And if you are asked about, what exactly you want, it's really in your best interest. You don't want to be flooded with 100 pieces of paper because you asked for just fair instead of Lewis County Fair or Southwest Washington Fair. Anyway, any comments from my associates?
No, one thing I will say then, this obviously affects the budget. It's the bottom line. So, and of course, we know that we're going to have these individuals and we're going to have to hire them. And, the people that come in and do public disclosure are somewhat, they're very specialized. And so you are not, whatever the grade pay is, it's very, very expensive. And again, we have to do our due diligence to make sure that we hire qualified people that can obviously handle this, and obviously will continue to be be educated on it. So, and in a lot of ways, the people that we hire for public disclosure are also the ones that are going out, reaching out to the other departments that are going to be affected. So, it's a county-wide issue, and again, no one wants government transparency than I or the other two commissioners. We want that, but at the same time, when you're basically a target, it's a little bit frustrating when we're looking at the budget and we're saying, hey, we need to spend money in this area, but we only have so much money. So what are we going to cut? What are we looking at that we're not going to have next year because of the public disclosure people that were involved? So it's a problem. It's not only Lewis County. So, I think that I'm preaching to the choir here on if other counties are listening. And I do remember I believe it was the city of Gold Bar, don't quote me on that,
Yes.
That lost their whole police department because they did not respond to a public disclosure because they were sued. And so they had to find ways of saving money. And unfortunately, that cost them, I'm not sure how large their police department is. It's probably not very large, but then it's public safety issues. So it is an ongoing situation. And again, we're free and open. Anytime that you want to talk to us, our meetings are all open. If you want a public disclosure from me, just come ask me via email. If it has to do something specific, we're more than happy to respond to that and get as much information as we can, and we will. But and I will say this, I don't want to editorialize it, but I do think that Lewis County has become somewhat of a target for some individuals, and that's unfortunate because that is costing the taxpayers a lot of money.
I will add one other item that we have been working on putting more and more of our documents online so people can do any kind of search on certain issues. So as most of you know, if you go to lewiscountywa.gov, go to Commissioners, you can find our calendar, and you can find our agendas on there. You don't have to put in a public disclosure to find out what we're looking at. You can find it for yourself. And we're hoping to do more of that, so to speak, self-service, so people can do it at the comfort of their home or their office and find out information about Lewis County.
And one thing I will say, and I remember this comment, someone had indicated that, well, why don't you just put all your documents on a computer and let them come in and look for it? Well, you have to, there's legal questions there, and I don't know how many you have to deduct
About
information.
400.
400, so you just can't put it out there, because there's legal issues, and of course, we've got David in here, and anyone within the department understands all that too, so you just can't put it out there, because I know that's what someone asked me specifically again. I said, you just can't put a computer in each one of the director's office or the courthouse and let them go through documents. It's a long, lengthy process that takes legal people to look at to see what information can and can't be shared. So, it's very, very complex and complicated.
I'd like to add my voice to my colleagues. Obviously, I am the new kid on the bench. I've only been here, we're working on 7.5 months, and it's been quite the experience in the first 7.5 months. When I ran for this position, I knew that it was going to be a tough job, and that was okay, because it's a challenge, and it's something we have to face every single day, and quite frankly, I like challenges, and that's one reason that I'm here. No one can tell you what you're going to expect when you walk into this. There's no education for it. You have to teach yourself. You have to be willing to read and to research and to learn, basically on your own. And I believe that if you do that, you can be successful at this. If you don't, then you're going to be frustrated quite frequently. One thing I didn't expect was in my 3rd month here to be served papers on a lawsuit and be sued 3 months into the job. I'm not complaining. I'm simply stating a fact, and Commissioner Fund, you are one of the nicest people I've ever met. And you say things in such a way that you're so nice with it, and I tend not to be quite as nice. And I just wanted to say there's a fatal flaw with our public disclosure system, and that is that it has created a cottage industry for individuals to find any and every reason they can to sue entities for the sake of a paycheck. We need to fix the system. It has forced us to have to hire an additional attorney to deal with this. It has forced us to have to hire an individual to go through public records request. And I want to say thank you to Kim Amrine for all of her hard and diligent work at this, and at the same time trying to hold down her own job at Public Works. Moving into the contracting season, the frustration with the requests that have been answered, and as you put, Mrs. Fund, have not even been opened or looked at. And they continue to come. And it is a distraction. It's not something we're willing to deal with them on a reasonable basis, but it has become very unreasonable. And so we are working very hard and diligently to be completely transparent in everything that we do, nothing to hide. But we have to be sidelined from the main. It's like a football game. You know, we're too many timeouts being called for us to try to figure out how we're going to deal with a certain situation, when what we need to be doing is being in the game and playing the game and moving forward. So my hope is that we will be able to come up with some resolutions on the legislative level. I believe some of the new law that has been passed will be helpful to us. But there's no end in sight with this, and it's a sad thing to have to say that, because we are being sidetracked because of all of this. And so that's what I'd like to add to that, and I appreciate my colleagues, because we're in this together, and we are working hard together, and we will stick together through all of this.
Any other questions, comments? With that.
With no further business, I move to adjourn.
Motion is made and seconded to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Adjourn. Thank you.
You are invited to immerse yourself in the beauty of nature in all four corners of Lewis County, Washington. From our fields to your table, farms in the west share their bounty. Limitless landscapes, forests and mountains beg to be explored in the east. Fish our many rivers and lakes in the south, and discover where history and culture intersect in our twin cities. Explore it all by visiting our Facebook page and plan your next getaway at discoverlewiscounty.com. Culture, history, and adventure all come alive when you discover Lewis County.